Good evening. What's going on, everybody? Um, it's me, Comic Crack. Hopefully, you can hear that okay. It's been a little bit. I hope you've been enjoying some of the music stuff that I've been putting up lately. Um, been spending most of my time doing that. Today, though, I went to trade in some comics to Red River Bookshop, um, and as usual, he gave me a hell of a deal. Um, never fails, and got some really interesting stuff. I've been sitting here for a little while now just reading one of them, um, to dig right into it, so I thought I'd just kind of share that. Maybe before that, though, why don't we talk about this? It's a as I struggle here. Woo, deals, absolutely. The joys of not being prepared here. There was a post on one of the Facebook groups. Well, actually, the Facebook page for one of the local shops here, Comic Factory. He said that he had some of these card series, this something called Funny Fiends from Sidekick Trading Card Publishing. John Dietrich and Stephen Blinkenstaff. Funny Fiends. There you go. There's the little poster that came with it. It was a Kickstarter, and you could back it at different levels. One of the levels you could back it, um, you got a lot of 8 boxes, maybe something like that. So the guy who backed it is a local. One of the guys who backed the project, out of the many that did, is a local guy, and he passed on a couple of boxes to Comic Factory 4. He posted about it on his Facebook, and I was there. How can I resist? They're reminiscent of kind of like old Basil Wolverton style art, kind of 60s, 70s monster, kind of crazy art. Um, when there was a bunch of bonuses that you could get. They had a binder that you could buy that was a Funny Fiends binder to put all the cards in. You could get, I think, for those of you who've been watching the card stuff in the past that I've talked about, when I got the Basil Wolverton set, there was a couple of the little plates that I got as well for the various colors. That was another option with one of the add-ons. There were signed cards, signed chase cards. There's 3D chase cards, and then there's color in your own chase cards as well. Um, I think it was 12 of the color your own in and 14 of the 3D, or it was vice versa. We'll see in a minute here. And they come in wax packs, so some red and some yellow. Won't go too deep into it. One of the other things that I found entertaining was when I opened one of the packs, this was sitting here, sitting with them, and it's Funny Fiends mock gum. It's a little kind of foam pad. Too bad. No, it doesn't smell like gum. Too bad it didn't smell like that sugary gum. Not every pack has one, but there was a stack of them. Uh, Entertaining for sure. So I put some of them. I had some extra sleeves, so I put some away already. Here's a sheet of the 3D ones, if you can see that there. Each box was supposed to come with a pair of 3D glasses. Mine did not come with 3D glasses. Thankfully, 3D glasses are something that I have quite a few of. So I haven't had a chance to sit with them yet. There's the backs of the 3D ones there. What does that say? Collect all 14? Yeah, collect all 14. And then here is something Trying to organize myself here. There we go. Okay. And then down here, there's a sampling of the color in your own cards. And there's the backs of those ones there. So it's a sticker set, this Funny Fiends. And I have a number of doubles, and I stuck a couple of them on various spots. I'm going to save a bunch of the doubles to kind of put out in Discogs orders, that sort of thing. Here's a look. So you do get a checklist of the 100 sticker set. And these suckers are heavy, heavy duty. And they're incredible. They're right up my alley. They're very kind of Wolverton-like. Bleh, for example. There you go. Really, really cool, but high quality set. Even when you peel the sticker off, it's still like you're putting a card onto whatever it is you're sticking it onto. It doesn't just come off on like a thin kind of piece of paper, sticky. Really, really great. Beautiful colors. Apparently they spent a couple of years drawing all the characters for this, and there's the back there. Nothing exciting on the back. But yeah, so in the box that I got, I managed to complete the 100 card base set. I think I'm missing 2 of the 3D cards and 2 of the color your own cards. So that's pretty good. No signature cards. I was hoping to maybe get one of those in the set, but no luck. Organize these here. There we go. So that's that. The Funny Fiends. I'd say if you're interested, check it out. I had a look on the website for this Sidekick. They do talk about you can order a t-shirt, a Funny Fiends t-shirt, if that's going to focus. No, it won't. But you could order a Funny Fiends t-shirt. I was hoping to find on the website the binder itself, because I wouldn't mind grabbing the binder. Again, no luck. So we'll give it a bit of a chance. Maybe they have some catching up to do. I think the Kickstarter just ended in November of last year, November or December. So still early days yet. So I had a short box, mostly filled with some stuff to trade. Tried selling on the Facebook groups here in town that I'm a part of. Not much luck there. Sold a few things. It's always the case. It's difficult when you're just dealing with kind of random issues. It becomes more difficult unless you're dealing with key issues. I had a couple of small short run mini series, like 4 or 5 issue mini series. I thought that those might go a little quicker, but they didn't. So that's fine. Take them down to Red River. And he says to me at the end, as I come up, he's just surprised that I still find stuff, is what he said. I'm surprised after all this time, you're still able to find stuff. It's like, but you have so much stuff though. It's hard to, and I mean, there is some level of organization there, but there are a lot of the bins and spots where you just have to dig through. There's always stuff that's popping up. He does pretty good with having a couple of rows of new release, the stuff that's just came in. And then I was having a look through his graphic novels this time. The last couple of times I've been there, I've had a look through his graphic novels. That graphic novel section has grown quite a bit, and he's got a lot of the independent stuff. So Marvel and DC take up the most of it, but he's got quite a bit. Yeah, exactly. Damn you, Facebook. I mean, I understand it. For the most part, the guys that are on, and it's not a blanket thing, because I think that there's a large number of them that are looking for kind of specific key issues and things like that, which is, it's totally fine. It's tougher when you're dealing with some stuff that's off the beaten path, right? The audience is a little smaller no matter where you are. So I don't blame them as much, maybe just a little. But I mean, I'd prefer to kind of sell them to people who are going to read them. Not that people aren't going to find them when they're in Red River, but so yeah, he was also joking that as I kind of get older, you know, my memory lapses and things. Maybe that'll come into benefit for him as I keep coming and trading for stuff that I've traded in previously. I know that I've done that once for sure. It was a couple of issues of a Spectre run. I don't have much of it, but I got rid of them. And then I don't know how much later, 6 months later, whatever it was, I saw them in the bins and ended up getting them back in a trade because I kind of regretted getting rid of them. Even though I don't have much else from that series, when it comes to some characters, I do want to end up eventually completing the runs. And Spectre is one of those characters for me for sure. And watching Damien's video recently, Phantom Stranger might be creeping his way in there a little bit too, because some of the books he was showing off Phantom Stranger wise were fantastic. They looked really, really great. So let's dig in to what I grabbed. Kind of didn't refer too much to a list. There was a couple of things I was looking for. I was hoping to complete some more of Jason Aaron's Thor. I wanted to complete some Weird World. And of course, I'm always on the lookout for some Daredevil. This seemed to be an opportune time. I had $180 worth of credit. And he had quite a lot of the Daredevil, the Wade and Samney run after he moved to San Francisco or comes back to San Francisco. Anyway, whatever volume that book was, I only have the first couple of issues of it. So I was able to grab a nice chunk of those. And again, as I'm going through the boxes, there's surprises that pop up like this gone, whatever, however you pronounce it. Single issue of this from Paradox Press, bigger than the previous volume that I have, which isn't within reach. The one that I have is more digest size, and also it's black and white, and this one is color, which is really, really great. Silent Comic. I wasn't familiar with it until the kind of digest one was given to us by Greg at Mulvey, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. This one looks like it's a lot of fun. This one looks like it's more kid friendly than the first volume that I had, which had some dodgy moments in it, to say the least. But beautiful, beautiful stuff. I've never seen these anywhere else before, so really cool to find that Paradox Press version. We'll put that there. Something else that I never find, it's always on my list. And let me put on my glasses here. Published bi-monthly by Spider Baby Graphics and Publications. So this is Bissett's issue number 3 of Stephen Bissett's Tyrant. I don't see this out there at all. I don't think I've ever seen an issue in the wilds, if I really think about it. So that was great. Unfortunately, the only one that he had. But fantastic nonetheless. I'd heard the title before, and then the kayfabe guys were talking about this at one point too, saying it's kind of it's well worth seeking out. And then the back matter, there's pages and pages of I'm guessing some letters. There's also, what else do we got here? Tyrant Media Guide. And then it looks like there's some talk of some dinosaur movies as well too. Tyrant Media Guide video, The Land Before Time. Pretty great, and that goes for a few pages. So that looks like a really interesting book for sure. Really glad to find a copy of that eventually. I wasn't sure about this one, so I grabbed it anyway. It's not in my CLZ, but that has happened before where I've just made a mistake and not added it. I don't think I have this This is one of the Richard Corbin one-shots, The Raven and the Red Death. The cover looks really familiar to me, but that could just be that I've just seen it a bunch. I don't think I have this one. So I had to grab it because it was Corbin. It takes the later Cerebus format as half a fanzine. That's awesome. That's very cool. I like that idea of having a comic and then just filling it up with some fanzine type material. A single issue of The Witching Hour. Again, checked my list, wasn't on there. This is number 68. Don't have much of this run, but it's one that I'm slowly but surely chipping away at. After all of this time, finally finished the first volume of the Jason Aaron, Mike Del Mundo Weird World. Big hit around here. My son and I were really on board for it. And then our kind of comic buying just lapsed. We just weren't picking up as much. I had to cancel a lot of my list. But I love Del Mundo's art. It's beautiful stuff. And I remember really liking the first 4 issues of this. We have a couple of issues of the second volume as well. So that'll be great. I won't go through all of these, but this is the chunk of Daredevil that I grabbed. I don't know, it looks to be about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 issues here, all the way from 6 and kind of hitting some of the big ones, 7, 9, I think, and then kind of intermittently up to number 17. So that's great. I think, like I said, I think I only have the first 2 issues of this run, so it's good to grab a bunch of those. It was a book that I fell off of. I really enjoyed their previous volume that they did together. I remember enjoying most of it, and then as it got to the end, it just didn't have my interest as much near the end. But again, trading stuff in, I don't mind picking it up. I know that I have a copy of this. I think it's released by Pacific or Eclipse. I don't know if the interiors of both of these are the same. So because, again, it was cheap, I figured I'd pick it up. This is Flamingo. Reprints of an old, I don't know if it was well, not a strip. That doesn't look to be strip format. So there you go. Jerry Iger's Flamingo with Matt Baker art. Stunning vintage art by the legendary Matt Baker, presented here for the first time. Previously unpublished work. And that was the thing that caught me. I don't remember what the other book contains, so can't let it slide. Another one that I couldn't resist. It seems like this guy is popping up for me in a few places. Fred Hembeck destroys the Marvel Universe. It's not like I'm a huge fan or anything. His stuff is enjoyable for sure. But it was just sitting there staring at me, so why the hell not? There's the back cover there. Marvel Universe destroys Fred Hembeck. Sorry, Thor, I'm a big finger in your face there. There was a few Vertigo miniseries in the boxes. Unfortunately, most of them that looked interesting to me were missing 1 or 2 issues. But this one, the whole thing was there. This is Ghost Dancing, 6-issue miniseries by Jamie Delano and Richard Case. All 6 of them are here. What does that say? March. So that says 1995 there. Don't know anything about it. I love me a good miniseries. And for the most part, you can't go wrong with Vertigo. So why the hell not? There's issue 2 there. Great looking covers. I don't mind the interiors either. It really does speak to that time, that's for sure. This is 90s. This just screams 90s Vertigo to me anyway. As a cover for issue 3. Issue 4. 5. I'll probably sit and read and start in on these ones tonight once I finish the story I was reading here before I logged on. Dreadstar, Nexus, Badger, Grimjack, Squalor, Metaphor, Zero Tolerance, David Barber, Mike Barron, Steve Butler, Peter David, Scott Eaton, Hugh Haynes, Flint Henry, John Ostrander, Stefan Petruka, Joe Staten, Tom Sutton, Tim Vigil, The Gift from First Publishing. Kind of that square-bound deluxe prestige, whatever the hell you call these kind of things. Yeah. Picked it up because why not? No real reason. I do have some First comics. It looked interesting, looked to be anthology of sorts. Figured I'd give it a shot. There's Zero Tolerance. Guest starring Fred Hembeck. Yeah. Some Dreadstar action there. Why not? This, I believe, has been in my, or at least one of these issues has been in my collection before. This first one, I believe. Gilgamesh. Jim Starlin's Gilgamesh, Volume 1 and Volume 4. That was all that he had, but I grabbed them anyway. And again, because Starlin has been a name that's popped up a couple of times on Kayfabe, it's kind of some of that stuff they end up talking about, and it just sticks in your head. So as soon as I saw this, that's what jumped out at me. It was this first issue that I had before that I traded off quite a while ago. This very well could be that issue for sure. I haven't had number 4 though before, so it seems like it'll be one of those things that should pop up at the next kind of mini comic convention. Hopefully. Another Eclipse Comics title off my list. Mike Grell, James Bond 007, Permission to Die, number 1. With a real a unique cover, to say the least. The face of that woman, and it's rough. Those are some enormous noses. There's the back cover there, saucy back cover. Not a huge James Bond fan. I am a huge Eclipse Comics fan. And I'm also a completist, so if you're going to trade, why not? Let's do it. Another one, glad to see they had the whole 6 issues. Frank Miller, Dave Gibbons, Martha Washington Goes to War from Dark Horse. All 6 of them. Really nice, kind of matte, thick stock for the covers. I have Martha Washington Goes to War 1 or 2, but not from this, not this format. I believe they're thicker, more of the square bound kind of versions there. Love these covers though. Really great covers. Yeah, that Legends logo is something, hey? It's pretty incredible. And then finally for the floppies, something that I thought that I had, but again, it wasn't in my CLZ, so I grabbed it, the Concrete Earth Day special. I was sure that I had this. I haven't looked in the box yet. But even if I do, I'll pass it on to my son, because he was with me today and he was looking through boxes, and I was telling him, we have all this trade. If there's anything that you see that you want to try out, just let me know. And he comes over and he's walking with a couple of Concrete issues, and I'm like, I've already got those. Just tell me when we get home and I'll pass it on to you. So he's reading the graphic novel that I have. He was reading it just before, not too long ago here tonight. So if this is a double, I'll just pass it on to him. And one of the reasons that this was on my radar, one of the other reasons, not only because it's Concrete, but there's also Mobius does some work in here too. Mobius, Charles Vess, and Paul Chadwick. Here's a look at Charles Vess. Real nice illustrations and text. And the Mobius strip goes quite a while, actually. And then we get some more Chadwick. So speaking of Concrete, something else that popped up, grabbed the 3 volumes that he had in the graphic novel section. I've never seen these before, but now that I know that they exist, I can understand why I see a lot of the single issues popping up in cheap bins. These are graphic novel collections from Dark Horse of the Concrete series. So this one has the miniseries Killer Smile, and then a bunch of the short stories in it as well too. Quite a few of the short stories that are in that bigger graphic novel that I have, that I just read recently. So yeah, grabbed all 3 of them. I think he had them at $9 a piece, a steal. These are thick volumes, or at least 2 of them are substantial. The other one is still a thick volume as well, but I'm really excited about this. And if my son ends up liking that one that he's started reading tonight, we're going to have a lot of reading ahead of us. Strange Armor. This is volume number 6. I haven't done any research yet to see how many volumes there were of this, but these have shot up high on my list. Pardon me. They've shot up high on my list to get my hands on, keep an eye out for. Really, really great. I like that they're a little more compact size. And then this is volume 7, The Human Dilemma. Killer Smile, I've got all the single issues. Human Dilemma, I don't believe I have them all. Strange Armor, I may have one. I don't know. But let's just see. So Strange Armor is the definitive origin story of one of the most original and moving characters in all graphic fiction. Yeah, so maybe it's just that, because the other volume does say that it's filled with short stories too. And neither of those other ones say that it is. So that's very, very cool. I love the look of them. Yeah, really, really great. And last but not least, and this is what I was sitting reading tonight, he had one of the Modesty Blaze books, real oversized. There was a ton of these from Titan. I believe, J-Rocks, how you doing, man? I believe this one was 2000, what did it say, 2015? I think that says 2015. Pardon me. Yeah, man, I'm saying, like, I've always heard good things about Concrete as well too, and I never I had started collecting the single issues when I saw them because they were just popping up for pretty cheap, and I would just grab them when I came across them. Never actually sat and read any though because I was waiting to get kind of a nice bunch of runs because I know that a lot of them were these kind of individual, almost chapters, I guess, of a few issues, 4, 5, 6 issues, that sort of thing. And I honestly didn't really know where to start. So when I found that graphic novel that I've spoken about before, I don't know if you saw that video, J-Rocks. There's a graphic novel that collects all the short stories. I believe it's all the short stories from Dark Horse Presents, which is where Concrete started. I figured that's a great place to start if it's going to give me any sort of sense of it. Kind of the stuff that was first printed when it came to Concrete. So this volume of Modesty Blaze, they're not numbered. This one's called The Killing Distance. Peter O'Donnell and Enrique Badia Romero has 3 different stories in it. I don't know a hell of a lot about Modesty Blaze. I just know that it's kind of a spy espionage type of strip. What I didn't realize and what was fantastic about getting a volume like this, here's before we get into that, there's a picture of a bunch of the other Modesty Blaze volumes. Another one I just don't see a lot. Modesty Blaze has popped up in a couple of magazines that I have. This is what blew my mind. The Modesty Blaze checklist. They give you the dates that each particular story arc ran for, and then who the artist was. What I didn't realize was that the earliest stuff, story number 1 called La Machine, 1963, January, February, March, April. So May of 1963 is when it started. And then shooting all the way down to story number 95, The Zombie, which was published in the year 2000 till 2001. So from 1963 to fucking 2001. Mind-blowing. I really had no idea that it had ran. I guess I had always assumed that this was kind of I actually didn't realize that it was into the 60s too. I was thinking around 70s and 80s, like a good 20 years. But I had no idea that it ran this long. So I was reading most of the way through the first story here. There's a little intro to each one, and then you get, see, so for that story, the next story coming up, The Killing Distance, for example, you get a little intro, and then it goes into the daily strips. And I can't, this kind of thing is super intriguing to me. It's not a world that I know a lot of. I mean, I read the Sunday strips just like everybody else did, and the strips that were in the paper, but the idea of having just 3 panels, sometimes 2 panels, and telling this really long story, it's something I can't quite wrap my head around anymore. And I'm sure if there's any kids reading comics these days, it's probably just a completely alien concept to them. Like, what do you mean you'd have 3 panels and then you'd have to wait to the next day's newspaper to get the next 3 panels of the story? And keeping that in mind, as I was reading the first story, it's surprising how well, and I mean, again, I hate to keep saying it, but Ed Piskor is talking about it as well, and just the idea of, I completely lost my train of thought there, using the 3 panels really, really well to tell a story. How are you going to shape that story when you have such limited space? Really hones your skills as a storyteller and an illustrator. It's pretty good so far. I wouldn't say this story is blowing me away by any stretch, but it is entertaining enough. There's some real kind of cheesecake type of moments in it, but I actually don't know. Let's see, does it say in the introduction? This one is Guido the Jinx. Try to just scan through here. That's not, oh, Guido the Jinx. Okay, so here we go. So this strip is from 1994. Okay. So what I'm reading right now is February 1994 to April, May, June, July 1994. So near the end, story number 79 out of 95. Wow. It would be cool to see some of the early stuff. Would be great to see, and then just experience some of the other artists. Yeah, that's cool. Yes, I have read a little bit of Judge Dredd there, J Rocks. Not a ton, but it's funny you say that because I was hoping to find some today. I was kind of jonesing for some Judge Dredd floppies. I've read some Judge Anderson stuff that I really liked quite a bit. Maybe a bit of Judge Death stuff. I haven't, but I haven't read a ton of Judge Dredd. I would like to get into it a little more though, and see what that's like. So that was the haul from today. What was the other thing that I had the other day? I managed to find. He got a copy of the shop by my office. Got a copy of the oversized Silver Surfer Black. And fucking hell, man, this is a beautiful, beautiful collection. Just phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's talked about this. I'm sure that a ton of people have talked about this story. The story itself there was nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it. Didn't blow me away. The ending didn't blow me away. I really liked it, but the art is just fucking mind-blowing. So to be able to see it on this bigger scale, I'm really excited. And they have this, I don't know if it's that Plike paper, that plastic-like paper that they're using for this cover, but it's a beautiful job. And then at the back, you also get some pencils and some final inks of his artwork for splash pages, etc. So that's always great too, seeing some process stuff in the back. A number of pages. And then, of course, you get the cover gallery because there was a lot of variant covers, so they give you a sampling of those there. Hello, Mr. Vidal. I do see you there. There you go. Look at that. So really excited because it sold out pretty quick. Mainstream comic book readers didn't like the artwork in Silver Surfer Black. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, I can see why some mainstream. I think it was more of a hit than not, though, wasn't it? I mean, I haven't heard. Well, I should maybe preface this with I don't watch a ton of YouTubers comic videos anymore. A lot of the people that I have watched in the past, they just don't do videos anymore. So I'm not up to speed with any of the new people talking about it. But from what I've heard from people who are into the kind of mainstream stuff, everybody had a pretty good response to the art. I haven't heard anything negative about it. Not to say that it doesn't happen. So I'm super excited to have that oversized thing because I really thought I missed the boat on it, and that it was going to be one of those things that if I wanted to get it, all of a sudden the prices would be skyrocketed, you know, that sort of thing. So I'm glad that he got in another copy and I was able to snatch it. Again, also for the kind of completing the Eclipse connection. They like Donny Cates' writing, but not the art. Interesting, huh? That's too bad because they've got it completely opposite. The writing is just so for me anyway, and the art was fucking phenomenal. I'm not a huge Clive Barker fan, never really have been. I know I also don't really like Stephen King too, so I'm gonna look you in the eye when I say that. I'm not a big fan. I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying me personally, I'm not a big fan. That said, though, again, Eclipse. The other good thing about this, it was funny because it came up in Jim's kind of dollar bin haul, and I went to the shop to get those cards, and I just kind of had a quick flip through the bins, and these were just sitting there staring at me. So it's sometimes some of these YouTube videos seem to manifest comics into my reality. This one, the first story is adapted and illustrated by P. Craig Russell, which is super cool. Have a quick look at that. So I think for things like that, it'll be worth it for sure. Beautiful stuff. Really, really nice colors there too. There you go. So that's issue 1. I think there was 5 of these, 5 or 6 of them. And then there's 2. I don't see this pop up. But then all of a sudden, you know, again, it just pops up. So who do we got here? Klaus Janson and John Bolton in this one. So here's the Janson. What does that say? Skins of the Fathers. There you go. So those are real nice finds. I really feel like I'm taking some big bites out of Eclipse. And yes, Mr. Vidal, you did see Modesty Blaze, The Killing Distance. I found this today when I did a trade of stuff in at my local Honey Hole Red River bookshop. That always comes through. There's always some great stuff just deep in the racks and deep in the stacks there. There's always something that I pull. And this was kind of one of the highlights for me. There was a few highlights, but I'd say this is a highlight. I've seen these around. They're usually pretty expensive though when I do. This one was cheap, and plus it was trade value, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I'm hoping that I can find, I don't know when you came in, but this is from the stories that this reprints are kind of mid 90s. The first story that I'm currently reading, I'm almost done, is from 1994 is when it was published. So I'm really hoping I can find at some point one of these volumes that reprints stuff from the 60s. I'd love to see the 60s work. There's nothing wrong with this art. I enjoy it. One of the things that they say that I didn't mention before is in the beginning here, where are those glasses? They talk about this book is a work of fiction. Much of the comic strip source material used by Titan Books in this edition is exceedingly rare. As such, we hope that readers can appreciate that the quality of reproduction achievable can vary. And you do see that, especially with the first story so far. You can see some gaps in the line work. Excuse me, sorry. But it's got a cool look to it for sure. But I'd love to sit and compare it to the 60s stuff. I agree, but it was I was in the minority when it came to Donny Cates. Yeah, I guess I don't know much about his writing. Wasn't he also doing the Guardians of the Galaxy as well? And then I have some Tapping the Vein books. I think they're great. I also enjoy Barker's writing, King not so much. Peter O'Donnell has become one of my favorite writers. The original artist was Jim Holdaway, yeah, but he died, and subsequent artists took over. But Peter was the heart of it, yes. And that's what I understand as well, too. And who do they list here? Jim Holdaway, Enrique Badia Romero, John Burns, Pat Wright, and Neville Colvin. So what is that? 5 different artists. So yeah, Very cool. And the thing I was saying before you came in there probably, was I was kind of blown away that this had run from 1963 all the way up to 2001. Had no idea that it had that long of a run. So, which is good for me. A lot more to dive into. That's it, peeps. Thanks very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'll be back soon with some more music stuff. Eventually, we'll get back to some comic stuff. But like I was saying in one of the last videos I did, where it was just you and me hanging out together, the comic reading has kind of taken a back seat for now. Work has been crazy busy for the past couple of weeks, and just kind of making music has been a priority. I sit down at that desk out in the other room there, and things are just coming to me. It's actually a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying this stuff. Well, I know that you are. I've been getting some really nice comments, and I appreciate it. I've been getting some good comments on Instagram as well too. So I appreciate everybody listening to my weird synth stuff. Oh, I'll definitely keep making it. I appreciate that, Gore. That's awesome. There's no stopping me. I'm getting ready to the Prairie. Oh shoot, what the hell is it called now? Prairie Wires, I think it's called. The modular synthesizer convention that was put on last year for the first time out in Brandon just so happened to coincide with a gaming convention. One of the guys that runs it or has organized it, I've known for quite a few years. Not super, super close, but I've known him. He's owned record shops and stuff, and have kind of interacted with him throughout my life at various points here and there. He put out a call. There's something called the International Drone Day. I think it is March 31st, where kind of people all over the world do these shows, and they just do drones. So he's going to be doing one, and he's booking kind of 15 to 20 minute sets, anybody who's interested. So I've said I'm interested. So I'm going to start performing live again. And that'll be kind of the first thing that I do, is I'll do this kind of International Drone Day. And I've started thinking about it in a bigger scale too, just kind of performing, doing some gigs here and there, trying to see if I can put on some sort of performance. I've got some ideas of things that I want to do. Yeah, I won't talk about it too much. When it gets closer to it, I'll kind of maybe discuss it at some point. But the idea of kind of going out and playing again is pretty exciting, especially with these specific guys through this festival. Is really appealing because they're all just fat old guys with kids too, making music in their basement while their kids are asleep. So I like that idea. Kind of hanging around with some people who are in a similar space as me doing this stuff makes the pressure a little less. Not that I feel too much pressure or anything, but it does help for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Music was definitely it for me. It's always been it's been music. Thank you very much, Gore. Yeah, thanks very much, buddy. The initial thing for me always has been music. I've played music my entire life. I've also really enjoyed art and comics and things my entire life too. But those things have come and gone. Music has always been a constant. I live in Texas. We know fat here. Yeah, no, I believe it. Music has always been a big part of my life for sure. Absolutely. And that's always been there since I was a teenager, playing in punk rock bands, playing in metal bands, playing in stoner rock bands, playing in, noise bands, that sort of thing. So it's right up there for sure. That's it. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Later.